and to have an amazing conversation with these beautiful women who are joining me today here on studio. They are advocates, they are sexual reproductive health advocates, they are passionate about mental well-being and so much more, and they're here to talk about a conversation some of you love too much, but we are going to go deeper into some of the issues that affect the young women and young girls especially. However, times have changed, and even young men are experiencing some extremes and also vulnerable to sexual abuse. And so today we have Tana Kemei, who is here, Youth Changers Kenya communication personnel, and we have Nancy Baraza from Zamara Foundation, who are here to just demystify the entire conversation on teenage pregnancies, especially at Kenya being the top one of the top countries that are having the high number of teenage pregnancies. And also this ushers us into the conversation of the sexual reproductive health policy. So welcome, ladies. Nice to see you. You are looking glamorous and sharp, ready to tackle the day. So really nice to see you.
Thank
and
you.
I'm happy. I don't know, maybe you want to just say hi first. Say hello first before we go deep into serious conversation. So we'll start with this side this time.
So hi, my name is Nancy Baraza. I'm a young woman. I'm excited to be young. I am an SRHR advocate and influencer. I'm very passionate about ensuring that girls access SRHR services and rights in all their diversities, regardless of where they come from, regardless of their gender identities. So I'm so excited for this
conversation,
and I'm hoping that it will be fruitful.
Yes.
And we'll learn so much from one another.
Yes, indeed, we will. Tana, tell us, greet the people.
Hello, hi everyone. I'm really glad to be here today and to be part of this conversation, because this is a conversation that should be happening, because you see where we are right now, like even with the statistics that you just mentioned, it's a bit problematic and alarming. So yes, I am a women rights advocate and a champion, advocating for the rights of adolescent girls and young women, and also mental health and mental well-being. You can, with the economy and everything that is happening, we really need to be very intentional. Yes.
I love that. I love these conversations that we're having, and the economy, the conversation of us women, our bodies, and teenage pregnancies. Can you imagine being top in the world in teenage pregnancy? What's happening? I don't know what you would say it is, but why do you think we have such high rates in the country?
I think that it's because of the way we have been socialized, and because of the way we have made the topic of sex a taboo. We don't speak about sex.
No one talks about it.
No
like
one.
In your family, you guys, there's no session where you'll be like, yo, let's talk about this.
What? No, the audacity, you cannot.
Be like, oh, mtoto wako na tabia mbaya sana. You can even go to jail about it. But it's very interesting. I like what you talk about, culture, taboo, like this thing that people eventually have, and the teenagers are already showing us, they're already doing it. There are things that are done in private and in the public. Everybody sees, okay, so where have these guys been having this? Where have they been doing this? But there is evidence that it's happening. So what guides us to this? So you're saying culture being a taboo is leading us, but what else do you think is contributing to these really, really high rates and these high statistics of these teenage pregnancies?
Misinformation, in the community level, and they cannot even have access to this information to start with, or even the kind of information they have, maybe from the internet, may not be as legit. And even when it comes to stigma when accessing services, contraceptives, for example, you get labeled for
awkward.
How
are you even entering the what are they called, the shop? And what are you even asking for? Things like that.
And it gets worse when you are, when the shop is close to your father's house.
When the shop is
so you have to walk You have to go miles away because you don't want, you know, the shop attendant or maybe the chemist, the person that is in there, will go and tell your mom that you came and asked for condoms. Hey, you wouldn't risk,
you become a topic, you become a story. So if you wanted to get such a thing, you would have to go all the way to town to get it.
A place no one knows you.
Or you send whoever is doing all these things with you to go get it on your behalf. So this, I mean, totally, then I understand why many girls are extremely vulnerable. They have no choice, and then they are faced with this situation. It's already a secret, and now they have to face the world that is already judging them for their action. And then you're that. So what are some of the challenges? Like, what are some of the things that you've seen in your work? The stories of girls. Like, what is it like for them as a teenage girl, and now you're pregnant, and now you're facing the society?
Just as we've said, those are our experiences, and we are young women. So I can imagine how tough it is for adolescent girls. And these are, when we get these stories, it breaks our hearts that there's little to nothing we can do about so many things because of the policies that are in place that do not support girls to access sexual reproductive services and even information. So honestly, girls are going through so much and they cannot talk about it. They have to stay silent because there's nowhere or there's no one to speak to. And there are girls that are defiled and even raped, but they cannot say, they do not know, they actually don't know that it's rape or defilement because they do not know what that is. They do not know if this guy tries to even hold me inappropriately, it's wrong. They do not know about anything. So even when they are defiled, they will even when they explain it to us, they don't think it's a big deal.
They think it's normal. The one who is shocked that they are talking about this like it's something normal. That's amazing. And you know what is sad about this conversation and this whole, especially in the case of defilement, is that many people are defiled by people who are their family members. Like it's someone within your inner circle. It's an uncle, it's a neighbor, it's your cousin. For some extreme, it's even your parents. You can imagine how extra that is. And so it's just on the extreme. So if the people who are supposed to protect you are also the perpetrators, then I feel then it needs to go to a higher level. And I think that's what you guys have been advocating for in terms of the policies. You're talking about the national adolescent reproductive health policy. Quite long. You're talking about that. So what are the aspects that you guys were proposing? Because I understand that you have been part of this conversation of advocating for certain policies.
I think in a nutshell, all we want is for young people in all their diversities to be able to access sexual reproductive health services without fear of discrimination, or even without societal discrimination as it is. So every other thing just trickles down to that. Because when you help us when the government can be able to facilitate us get comprehensive sexuality education, that will help us make informed choices. When the government helps us access contraceptive services affordably, because we are young, we cannot afford expensive contraceptives, then that helps us make informed choices as well. So just the government being able to facilitate us as young people to be able to understand the choices that are in place for us, so that we can be able to make conscious informed choices about our sexualities.
Okay. Tana, do you feel the same way as well? Do you feel that at that young age, as an adolescent, as a teenager, you are able to make that decision? Or what do you believe should be, is it the access to, is it the permission to make the decision? You get the information, then you make the decision? Or what do you feel would really, really work?
Yes, with the right information, you are able to make informed choices about, moving forward. Like, what am I supposed to do when this and this happens, and where do I go to? What services should I be seeking when such a case happens? So I feel it's more on that, and it's not just creating awareness on that, but also having initiatives that are capacity building the same people, the young people, to get the knowledge, on about SRHR, and even let me just use an example of let's say menstruation, for example, menstrual education. You find that the young people would not even know that, like, when at this particular cycle you can get pregnant, at this particular cycle you cannot. So when you actually have that information, you can make the right information decision.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, being capacity built is really key. And a lot of creating awareness, and even the government availing these policies in place, because trust me, when you go to the ground, people don't even know what are your reproductive health rights, for example. They do not even know that there are certain documents and policies that speaks to their rights. So when we create more awareness and sensitizing people on that matter is really key.
So information, ensuring that the young people are well informed and well aware to make the decision. Do you feel is there too soon to have that conversation? At what point should the conversation be had? When you're 8, I know a lot of parents will be telling people, oh, now when you get married, you will not do this because you're doing this, and sometimes you're telling a 12-year-old about marriage. Do they really understand? Or you're telling a 10-year-old about sex. Is that the time? Or when is too early? Or when is too late? When should you actually have this conversation? When would be the most appropriate time?
Actually, as long as, I think parenthood just begins when you give birth to a child. And just so being able, and it doesn't have to be a conversation about marriage, or it doesn't have to be necessarily about sex. Just getting the kids to understand, even as young as they are, that my breast is my private part, and just showing them, and then continually telling them that, this went wrong, this is wrong, and just helping them.
When you're really little,
when you're really,
then start with the conversation and you. All right.
Yeah.
So this now leads me to the policy that you guys were part of, the National Adolescents Reproductive Health Policy. So what are some of the things that you were proposing, being part of the whole entire process?
As young people, we, whether male or female, we have needs that cut across, like the need for contraceptives, like the need for condom is universal, like either a guy or a girl needs condoms. So just being able to put that out there, that young people in all their diversities have unmet need for contraception. So the government should, or the policy holders, or the duty bearers should understand that it is our right to get that, and under no circumstance should we lack that, by either.
So the same way you are packed for break, and like tea and juice and sausage,
it's
you
very
should
necessary.
also have like a condom in your bag.
And it's very necessary to have that as well, to just be able to understand that, as young people, we don't have to be married to have sex. We don't have to be a certain age to have sex. Girls, young women, and even boys, as young as they are, they're already having sex. They're already having sex. So understanding that, it's a need. It's a need. And I know we have a religion that has socialized us to believe that we are not supposed to have sex. It is okay for people to have opinions, but then just making that translate into policies that are meant for the whole nation, based on personal biases, should not be happening. Just having people that, and that is the problem we've been having with these policies, that, the duty bearers.
So you feel like the policy is inhibiting the, not just the information, but is also trying to stop young people from engaging?
it is limiting access to contraceptives. It cannot limit young people from having sex.
They already so it's limiting the access to engaging. So in the proposition, at what point would you advise that the access be? You see, the way they will always say 16 or 18 is the age of consent, depending on the different countries. At what point would you say that a young person should be allowed to have that access?
To have that access to contraceptives?
Yeah, to contraceptives.
I'd not say a certain age, because as long as you've started having sex,
you should.
No matter, yes, you should.
It should just be open. Like the pharmacy should be there that people can go to, whether or not they will go to or not. Okay, so I love that conversation, because you're saying young people are already doing it anyway, and like you said, you cannot really stop them from doing it. So how can then the policies facilitate that if they do it, they are still protected? Because if even if they don't do it, then you've really still endangered the young person, because she's going to be an early mother or something like that. Okay, now I've totally understood it. I like the conversation, and now we're just gonna go on a short break. These people want to be allowed to have some of that access to facilities that people are having, and if the young people are already speaking, I guess it is time to still hear them in the same conversation.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go on a break, and then we'll be back shortly to just talk about the things that we want to actually be added into the policy, or the things that are making us so unhappy about it. I hope that you stay tuned, and see you after the break. All right, guys, so I'm having so much fun with these ladies. How are these ladies? Are wapambanaji, watu wa mapambano, but they are fighting for the rights of women, young girls and women to have rights, and especially on sexual reproductive health, looking at their mental well-being, looking at young girls' sense of agency, being able to really speak about the issues that they are dealing with. So wamepitia mambo kadhaa ambayo they have stories to tell. So they've been part of contributing towards policy, lakini mmepitia vituko tu fulani mara you just hear the meeting is due where. I mean, tell me, how was that like for you guys as you were trying to provide guidance towards some of these policies we're having in the country?
Yeah, I feel like these policies should make sure that there's representation and make sure that it is meaningful, you know. Like they should make sure that people with disabilities are also very represented. Young people in all their diversities are very well represented, and also that, you know, the CSOs are informed before the meeting happens. You know, you can't just wake up and tell people tomorrow we are going for a consultation meeting in Homa Bay, we are staying in Nairobi, how do we get there? You know, you should be intentional about involving the
do you feel like
CSOs.
It's intentional that so that you guys don't make it, or what do you think? Why do you think these things happen? Why are you told last minute at night? Do they think you're gonna appear in the morning with placards? Na kusema
I don't know why.
I don't know, because now even with the document, you don't even have the document you're going to review, the draft. So even how will you meaningfully engage in that conversation when you don't even know the content?
So you can't. So even if you appeared, you wouldn't have like something to say, because I mean you've not even read the document. You've not even read it. Masaibu ya the youth. But what are what are the pain points? Okay, so the pain points when you are now trying to visit some of these policies and wanting to offer your contribution. Of course, other than being misinformed or not even being given the draft, what else has caused this journey to be so painful for you?
The fact that the policies are drafted based on people's personal biases. You know, they don't use data in science to be able to influence the policies that are put in place. And the RH policy is going to serve us for the next 10 years. So we are going to struggle for the next 10 years until it's now reviewed again, so that really aches us, especially when you're trying to move forward, and then you see the people that are the duty bearers are trying to hold you back. And actually on that day when it was being launched, it was live on Citizen TV, and then immediately after that a news came, the news, and then it was saying Kenya is now ranked the 3rd in the world in teenage pregnancies, and even the needs of the people whose policy has just been launched, have not been met. So we wonder how that is going to be for our girls and young women in the next 10 years. And just being able to understand that, I acknowledge that the policy is, acknowledges adolescents. It acknowledges adolescents, but then does it actually, is it setting them or putting them as a priority in these policies, to be able to understand that this is how the adolescents are able to be taken care of. Does this meet the needs of the adolescents? Also, the fact that it pushes, the surrogacy period where, for instance, the LGBTQ community, they're supposed to get they're supposed to have to wait until they're in puberty so that they can be able to have their surgery. And before that, there's a lot of feelings all over the place, a lot of emotions, a lot of hormones are taking place, and these things need to be taken care of immediately with urgency. But then you have to wait until you're in puberty. So that does not take care of the needs of even the LGBTQ community, and that's why we seek that in these policies, people, every young person or everyone in all their diversities can be able to come out and say, this is what we're going through, and if you do this, this is how you'll be able to help us. You don't just make decision based on what you think, you have to make a deliberate effort to understand what is really happening, so that even when you are doing something, or even when you're passing a policy, you know that it is meeting the needs of the people you're trying to serve.
What is your take, Tana, on this conversation? You're talking about allowing young the children to be able to make certain decisions, because the fact that they are engaging or practicing in certain activities, it means they are aware. They are very, very, very much aware. But we're talking about a conversation that is already awkward for the parents to have. How do you suggest that we move forward with actually ensuring that the voices of young people are heard, and people are not, thinking of you as an afterthought, inviting you in the middle of the night to come and participate tomorrow? How do you think we can go about this?
First, we can start by acknowledging that the adolescent girls and these young people actually know and are competent enough to talk about these issues, because these are now speaking to their realities. But then what is happening is that their views are not incorporated in the policy, you see. So when we engage them and hear their views, and not just think that we cannot be like, what are they even saying?
You can't be serious.
What
when
are you
talking
change
about?
that attitude, then I think is the way to go.
So to include, say, your wish list,
Inclusion.
to include them to really, really speak.
Without
So yes,
discrimination.
you've talked about the pain points. What are the recommendations moving forward? I mean, you've also mentioned that you need to understand that the young people have something to say, they understand, and what are the parameters, and since they're already involved in sex, they already know what it is that they're talking about. So way forward, what would you, I know that the NASH policy is ongoing, and you're still contributing to that conversation, but the reproductive health policy was already launched, and you guys disengaged from it, and you did not want to be part of it. But now that the NASH is here and you have a chance to contribute to it, what are some of the things you want to be added?
What I'd just like to put across is you cannot say you want to address issues of a set group of people without involving them in the process, like continually reinforcing their exclusion in the whole process, and then you want to talk for them. Actually, I think I started by saying we are experts. Young women, girls, adolescents, they are experts in their own challenges, they are experts in their own rights. You put them out there and ask them what they want, they will tell you exactly what they want. So in these processes, make sure that it is deliberate, and you want, you know, it's not just you telling people tomorrow tupatane Homa Bay, you know, somebody is in Nairobi there. How is that even supposed to happen? And then you've not even given them the document, you know. They will get there, and then they're like wondering what is happening. Wamekaa hapo wamezuba, you know.
Confused,
yeah, so just making sure that it is very intentional from the very beginning, to make sure that you want to understand. And most of the time I tell people that, you know, if you want to fully understand a group of people, get to know them, go down to the field, go to the ground, get to mobilize girls, get to hear from them directly. Yeah, so that you don't go out there just speaking from your own lived experiences, you know. Growing up, you know, maybe you have different privileges, and maybe you're making your assumptions based on your own lived experiences. But getting to understand a set group of people, and being able to just want to understand what it is that would meet their needs. You know, you might be speaking,
they would meet their needs.
And also the personal biases we have, let's not bring them to the policies. You know, this is a countrywide policy. You do not want to put your personal biases there. Probably maybe religion, you know, you feel like, you know, people should not be getting contraceptives right now because they are what? Because they are young. And then it's them that are getting pregnant every day, and others are even exposed to now unsafe abortions, and then we end up losing our young women and girls. So just being able to understand what it is that would meet the needs of girls and young women, and be very intentional and very meaningful about making sure that they're involved in this process.
And making sure they're involved in this process. Well, the girls are spoken, they are speaking, and they're telling us we need to listen to them. Now, I'm just going to throw this final question to you guys. Do you really believe that the people under 18 have got the knowledge and can make that right decision when they have all the information at hand?
Yes.
Or access to contraceptives.
Yes, when they have that information, then I'm very confident that they can be able to make that choice and make an informed choice, you know. And even as we speak of this, let's talk about comprehensive sexuality education, you know, incorporating this, you know, in schools. Because now we have life skill, for example. Why don't you use that as a platform to speak about these issues, sexuality education, SRHR? Because you know, when they are more aware and more informed about this, moving forward, they can actually do something and, you know, be confident about the things that they're doing, and not just seeking things that are maybe hearing from the other peers that do not actually know that. Yes.
Because earlier on you had talked about the stereotypes that are being passed on. I mean, not the stereotypes, the false narratives that if you probably have sex for the first time, you will not get pregnant. And that's what they are teaching each other because the information is not readily being provided. So I had your answer. You think they are ready, you feel they are ready, they can make the right decision when they are informed. What is your perspective? Maybe you have an opposing view. Maybe you think they are too young. Maybe you're like, hey, relax, guys. Can never be you.
Can never be me. I believe that when it's not just for adolescents, just think of yourself. When you're given the right information, obviously you'll make informed choices. And it does not mean that now you'll be promiscuous.
Information is power.
Information is power. You know, you might get information very young and then you decide to abstain. You see?
Because
so it's not all about, because you're informed and you're like, you know, I don't want to have sex right now. But the way we push the narrative that comprehensive sexuality education drives our girls and young women to get into promiscuity is what actually annoys me, that we cannot be open-minded, because actually we know what information has been able to shape into our own lives. So why do we think that girls and young women cannot be able to use the same information to make informed choices? It does not make sense.
I love that. You guys have convinced me.
You are the other team.
I was like, no, you guys. Do you know what we shall start saying right now? But looking at it this way is, if you are informed and you make the right choices because you are informed, I think because what is leading a lot of young people to do this is curiosity. But if everything is laid on the table and you create a lot of understanding towards it, maybe, just maybe. About the contraceptives, I think you guys need to give me like a whole class. Give me education. But I'm happy that you're advocating and empowering girls to have a sense of agency, because you all know, even conversations, it's just now that we're starting to talk about period shame and making it less painful. For some of us, I think we were children and we came across condoms and we were blowing them like balloons. We didn't know what they were. But if the kids are exposed and they're told this is this, you know, maybe we can even reduce the number of HIV cases, number of early pregnancies and all that. Any parting shot? What would you like to tell the nation, the people making policy? Perhaps you want them to invite you earlier.
Yes.
What are your parting shots?
Yes, we urge the Ministry of Health to avail these documents. We're even talking about the NASH policy, which will be reviewed in like 5 months from now. This we don't even have a draft of it. How are we going to meaningfully engage in that process when we don't even have that, that document? So make this document and this policy available so that people can actually go through it and be aware that that policy actually exists. The other one is let's use the data and the evidence we have to inform the formulation of our policies. Yes.
So we use data. We have the draft way in advance so that we can interact with it. So that we don't end up showing up as young people and we're quiet in the corner. Just like, why did you come even? Things like that. All right. Thank you. And what is your last parting shot?
I think I'd mentioned it a bit earlier, but let me just I'd like to put it out there that young people we're not dumb. We know what we want, we know what we are doing, and we are able to meaningfully participate in these processes. We are able to bring out our experiences, telling our own lived experiences, telling our own stories, also telling our own stories based on the interactions we've had. So being able to understand that young people have a lot of influence in these policies, you don't just throw us on the sidelines. We make a majority of the Kenyan population. So there's no way you can just decide to do things on your own, We also have our own issues that you probably might or will never understand because we are growing up in different times. So just being able to make sure that you are informing us, involving us, and deliberately pushing your agenda with us in it will make sure that we are able to, our voices will be heard. And you'll not hear us boycotting any of your policy launches.
I know, I was just told youth changers have boycotted, have disengaged from the policy. And I love your state of agency. I mean, with the girls being informed, being aware, and being involved fully, not just, just that, just being informed what happened, to actually be engaged in the process. It's going to make a difference. And cheers to you and power to you guys.
Thank you so much.
In as much as people are young, but some people were young a long time ago and they think what worked in their time is working now. So you heard, guys, everyone who is out there, young people have a sense of agency, advocating for inclusion in the conversation. They're not asking for much, to just hear their voice and input their voice and take them very, very seriously. I have been with Tana and Nancy, and we have had a great time, and I hope that you can stay locked into our next time when we come back and we still talk about moto things. Right. See you soon.
Bye. Thank you so much for having us. Bye, everyone.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah.